Good morning, everybody. From 4945 Washington Boulevard, once again, it's BJ. We are here for quarantine chat number 3, focused on value number 3 from Donovan CPAs. Third of our 5 values is kindness. And again, the acronym, I'm sure you all know it at this point, but I'll repeat it just so it kind of gets seared into your memory. The acronym is HIKEA, H-I-K-E-A, honesty, integrity, kindness, excellence, and accountability. So we're here today to talk about kindness. And I'll kick this off by restating something your parents probably told you 100 times growing up, which is if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And that probably worked pretty well for you through grade school, through middle school, maybe even through part of high school. But as professionals, not saying anything to somebody, especially when something needs to be said, might be one of the most dangerous and quite honestly unkind things you can do to somebody. And I hope to convince you of that at the end of this brief chat. There's a great book out there by a woman named Kim Scott called Radical Candor. And candor is the concept of being honest with somebody, especially when those conversations are difficult. You are the person who steps up and says something that needs to be said that nobody wants to say. So we're going to talk through that briefly. As we go through this video, just kind of on a more personal note, I want to let you guys know that I'm trying something new with my hair, and I would love your feedback on it. So shoot me a text, send me an email, give me a phone call. Let me know, because I really think I'm going to keep rocking this style for the foreseeable future. So love your thoughts on my hairdo as it is today. So this concept of radical candor, picture a quadrant. And you could pull this up on Google if you want. I tried to recreate it, but obviously the image quality is not going to be great, but you can find this with a quick Google search. But radical candor is essentially it's a continuum on 2 different axes here. So it all has to do with how much you care for somebody. So you can either care personally at the high end here, or have no care whatsoever for somebody. And then the other end of the spectrum is what you're willing to say to somebody during a conversation. So on the far end over here, on this side is silence. And then over on this end of the spectrum, you're willing to challenge somebody directly. So, each one of these quadrants kind of represents a different approach, a way you can have a conversation with somebody. If you are silent, but you care personally about somebody, this is what Kim Scott describes as ruinous empathy. And I'll go through that in just a minute, exactly what that means. If you are silent and you have no care whatsoever for somebody, that is called manipulative insincerity. Down here on this end of the spectrum, if you have no care whatsoever for somebody and you are willing to challenge them directly, that's called obnoxious aggression. And up here, kind of the quadrant we should all strive for, if you care personally for somebody and you're willing to challenge them directly, that's what Kim Scott calls radical candor. And again, I'll talk about exactly what that is and how we can practice it. So let's talk about my haircut. If we look at each one of these 4 quadrants, again, your options here, you can either be silent or you can challenge me directly, and you either care personally for me or you have no care whatsoever. If you care personally for me, but you're unwilling to have a conversation with me, you're silent, that's what's called ruinous empathy. This is exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of this video, where your parents said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. That's ruinous empathy. So if I come to you and say, I got a new hairdo, what do you think? What you would do is look me in the face and say, it looks great. You should really do that more often. It fits your face. This is the look you've been meaning to have for your entire life. Keep it up, BJ. Great job. That's ruinous empathy. If you are unwilling to have a conversation with me, you're remaining silent, and you have no care whatsoever for me, you have what's called manipulative insincerity. That's your approach to conversations. Manipulative insincerity, if I came and asked you about my haircut, the way you would approach it is this. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You would let me keep going about my day. You would let me keep walking around looking like this and let me suffer the consequences of my own action. That's manipulative insincerity. If you have no care whatsoever for me, but you're willing to challenge me directly, that's called obnoxious aggression. And what that would look like is walking up to me, maybe even without me asking for your opinion, and saying, "Hey, BJ, 1993 called and it wants its butt cut back." That is called obnoxious aggression. Um, Maybe not the best approach, but we'll actually talk about what is the best approach in just a second. And then if you care for me personally and you're willing to challenge me directly, that's a quadrant called radical candor. And in the context of this haircut, the example that we're going through, if I walked up to somebody who practiced radical candor and asked for their opinions on my hair, this person would probably look at me and say, "BJ, I care about you. I want you to look your best. Looking your best helps you to perform at your best. And I've got to tell you, because I care about you, this is not your best look. I can introduce you to my stylist. I can give you a few pointers if you want, but I've got to tell you, that haircut is not doing you any favors, and we really need to change it." That's radical candor. And those conversations are hard to have. And that's a very different approach from just not saying anything at all if you don't have something kind to say. If you take a quick look at these four quadrants again, so we've got radical candor, obnoxious aggression, ruinous empathy, and manipulative insincerity. You may be inclined to think, I think we can all agree radical candor, the people who have these conversations, that's the number one quadrant. That's what we're trying to strive for. And then you'd probably look somewhere over here. You know, you care personally about someone, but you're more on the remaining silent end of the spectrum. Ruinous empathy, that's probably option number two. And the conclusion that Kim Scott actually reaches in her book is that is the next to last, like the second worst quadrant you can be in. If you're not going to practice radical candor, you might as well at least be honest with somebody and practice obnoxious aggression. She's not advocating that you do this, but we all know people who take this approach, and that approach, quite honestly, is better than remaining silent on either one of these quadrants here. So maybe when you hear the word kindness, you initially think just say nice things, only be positive, only say things that are going to uplift people. And what I want you to challenge to think and put into practice is actually the kindest thing you can do to somebody is work to elevate them, work to help them move forward from whatever they might be struggling with. And in my case, help me move beyond this particular hairstyle. Um, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know that I'm doing something wrong, and we all fit in this category from time to time. And you think about the situation in a professional setting. Somebody's underperforming at his or her job, and if the feedback that that person continually gets over and over is, "You're doing a great job. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up." Eventually, it will reach a point where that person probably needs to be terminated. And those conversations are significantly harder when you have to let somebody go and that person says, "I don't understand. I've been getting positive feedback ever since I joined the firm." It's a lot harder to have those conversations than if you've been giving this person feedback all along that says, "We really need you to work on this. You're underperforming relative to your peers on that." And then they don't meet those expectations once again. It's a lot easier to have that conversation and say, this really isn't the right position for you. Let me help you find a better position or at a different company that might work for you. So as you go out and continue in this kind of crazy world that we're living, I do encourage you to practice radical candor. Be kind as you do it, but as you're kind to people, make sure that you're being honest with them as well. Marion saying hi in the background there. Um, so practice radical candor. If you get a chance, look it up. If nothing else, look at the chart on a Google image search and kind of at least put that in your brain that there is this concept of kindness that involves actually having difficult conversations with people. So thank you for paying attention today. The survival tip that I have for you today regarding kindness, it really has to do internally. I'm going to challenge you all to be kind with yourselves. So take care of yourselves through this process. Obviously there are professional obligations that you need to meet. I've asked you to go out and dine at local restaurants as well. That's all about helping other people. Take care of yourself. And by that, I mean emotionally, physically. Take time, if you pray, by all means, pray. If you meditate, meditate. If you need yoga to recenter yourself, do that. If you need to exercise to center yourself, by all means, do that. Take the time that you need to make sure that you're fully present, fully available, and can be the best version of yourself. So be kind to yourself, be kind to each other. Thank you for your time today. And I am going to go fix my hair because this is driving me crazy. See you guys tomorrow.